everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. My name is Kevin. Well, today I'm going to show you how to make something that I make pretty frequently here on the homestead, and it's something that will help you replace yet another thing from the grocery store, and that is homemade soy sauce. But the best part about this is there's no soy in it. So if you're like us who try to minimize the amount of GMO products that you consume, and in general we try to minimize the amount of soy products that we consume, this is a perfect recipe for you. It's really easy to make. It's made completely with ingredients that you most likely already have around the house anyway. If not, you can get them very easily, and it's much healthier for you, in my opinion, than regular soy sauce. With this recipe, you can actually also control the amount of sodium that is in this. If you've purchased soy sauce from the store anytime recently and you have tried it, you know that it's just packed with sodium. Even the stuff that says low sodium is still so salty that it's just not good for you. So this is a way to be healthy, to make something at home, to eliminate another thing from the store, and be better for your family in the process. So the nice thing about this recipe is not only does it end up making soy sauce, but from the soy sauce then you can do what I'm going to do tonight for dinner, which is make homemade teriyaki sauce. And I can tell you from making this recipe now quite a few times, your family won't know the difference. They won't know that this isn't store-bought soy sauce or store-bought teriyaki sauce. It's going to taste so good. They're absolutely going to love it. So the first thing we're going to start with, and the main base of this soy sauce, I call it soy sauce, it's not soy sauce, but the main base of this is going to be beef broth. So if you're like us, we can our own beef broth, and I've made this with several different kinds of broths. Beef is probably the best, but I've also used venison broth. Really any kind of dark red meat broth will work just fine. So now to the broth, you're going to add 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and then just what's considered a pinch of garlic powder and a pinch of ginger powder. And we're just going to put that in, and now we're going to take this over to the stove, and we're going to get this going to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer for about a half hour until it condenses down a little bit and all of those flavors mix together really nice. Then we'll add some salt. Now salt, there's no real measurement as to how much to add. Add that to taste. You kind of know how salty you would like your soy sauce to be. I add probably about a teaspoon, maybe a little more to this concoction. But again, it just depends how much salt you want in your diet. So we're going to go ahead and take this over to the stove, and we'll get this simmering. Alright, so we're going to get this going to a boil. And then, like I said, we're just going to let this simmer for about a half hour until this really kind of condenses down and turns into a nice soy sauce. In the meantime, I'm going to work on the rest of dinner. I already have some rice in our rice cooker, and tonight we're having some Asian chicken, so we're going to make this into teriyaki sauce at the end, and we're going to have chicken over the rice with the teriyaki sauce on top, and then we're also going to have some Asian cabbage. So I'm going to get started on slicing up the cabbage. And the cabbage we're just going to cook, and then we're going to add some sesame oil to it to give it a nice kind of Asian taste. It's one of these recipes that we just really like here on the homestead. So we're going to get this boiling, and then we're going to get started on the cabbage. Okay, so this has been boiling for about a half hour and it's reduced about half. There's about a cup of liquid here right now. So now we're going to turn this into teriyaki sauce. If all you wanted was soy sauce, you could stop right here. Now I can tell you adding a teaspoon of salt like I did makes this pretty salty, but not nearly as salty as regular soy sauce that you buy from the store. So okay, so we're going to make this into teriyaki sauce now. So the first thing we're going to add is a cup of water. Now I know it seems kind of weird to add water after we just boiled this down to get it into half, but you really want those flavors to melt together. So now we're going to add a cup of water. Next thing we're going to add is half of a cup of brown sugar. Now again, we don't like to consume GMOs on our homestead, so we use brown cane sugar. If you're not using sugar that says cane sugar, it's most likely made from GMO sugar beets, and that's something you really don't want to, well, in our opinion, you don't want to consume. So cane sugar is the way to go. So a half a cup of brown cane sugar, and then 2 tablespoons of honey. We buy local unprocessed honey, so that's about 2 tablespoons. We're just going to mix this all together. And then we're going to take this back over to the stove and bring it back to a boil. And then we're going to thicken it up with some non-GMO cornstarch. So let's take this back over to the stove and get it going back to a boil. Okay, so while we're waiting for that to come back to a boil, we're going to mix 2 tablespoons, and I make rounded tablespoons, of cornstarch with about, I don't know, a third of a cup of water, whatever it takes to dissolve the cornstarch. Make sure it's cold water. And then as soon as that soy sauce comes back to a boil, we'll whisk this in and let it thicken up, and then the sauce will be ready. So now that the soy sauce is to a boil, we're going to add our cornstarch mixture. And then as soon as that comes back to a boil and starts to thicken up, we'll turn the heat off. Perfect, and that thickened up nice. So we're going to take that over to the counter and just let it cool down a little bit. Smells awesome. Alright, so I've already got my chicken shredded here in a bowl. So as soon as this teriyaki sauce now cools down a little bit, we're going to add it to the chicken, and then we'll bring over our rice and cabbage and we'll be ready to eat. Alright, so that's cooled for a few minutes. I'm going to add probably about half of it to my chicken here. Now the nice thing about this also is that you can store the leftover sauce in the refrigerator for a week or so. It'll store just fine, so if you don't use it all the first night, that's fine. And I'm telling you, you will not know that this is not soy sauce. You won't know that this isn't store-bought teriyaki sauce. It tastes so much like what you buy at the store, except, like I said, not as salty. But add more salt if you want it. Alright, I'm going to bring over the cabbage and the rice. We'll put this all together on a plate and show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so first, rice. Now we're using organic brown rice. And then our teriyaki chicken on top. And then the sesame cabbage, which that sesame oil smells so good. Makes the whole house smell like sesame. So there we go, another easy, healthy meal here on the homestead. The meat we raised ourselves, the vegetables and everything else, we know where they came from. We know that they're good quality. You can control what's in your diet, and you know, what more can you ask for than that? I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hey, if this is your first time visiting our homestead, I hope that you'll hit that subscribe button before you leave. To our traditionalists who come back 5 days a week, thank you guys so much. I hope you try this. This is really a great alternative to store-bought soy sauce. And until next time, you guys, thanks for stopping by the homestead. Take care, and God bless.